Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to Cutting Edge Action. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Cold Steel Recon 1 and really putting it through its paces. Before we get into the review, I'm going to give a little bit of info about Cold Steel as a brand. Cold Steel's claim to fame is the Triad lock. It's similar to a back lock, but with the addition of a stop pin. As the knife breaks in, the lock becomes both smoother and, in theory, stronger. The addition of the stop pin might not sound like much, but this is definitely one of, if not the strongest locks in the entire industry. A lot of Cold Steel's catalog might be overkill, but that's exactly what they're shooting for. Everything needs to be bigger, stronger, and flashier. They definitely have some more discreet knives, but the crazy always shines through. You can see this in their marketing materials. In their test video for the Recon 1, they hung 225 pounds from the handle with the blade in a vise. The knife doesn't even have liners. This lock means serious business. With steel liners, the lock has been known to withstand 600 to 800 pounds, which is absolutely insane for a folding knife. With all that said, let's go ahead and review this beast of a knife, the Recon 1. For blade deployment, you can deploy the Recon 1 in multiple ways. So you can simply push the thumb stud, like so, and rotate it out. You can start pushing it out with the stud and then give your wrists a little bit of a flick to finish the fire. And you can do a very exaggerated flick of the wrist downward and back up to launch the blade out without ever touching the stud. To unlock the blade, you can position your index finger close to the front of the knife and then press the lock down firmly with your thumb, like so. And then after you press it down firmly, the blade will drop down and you can finish closing. The lock on this knife was definitely sticky when I got it. There was quite a bit of rubbing during locking and unlocking, although I was fortunate enough to have read a review that told me to expect this from the Cold Steel Triad. I lubricated the pivot and lock thoroughly and then played with the knife for a few days. After that, the lock broke in and started becoming much easier to operate. This is a very big knife, but I'm still able to operate it pretty easily with just one hand, as you can see. Not too bad. This knife is incredibly rigid, both locked and unlocked. Even without liners, it feels incredibly strong and reliable. To show off how confident I am in this knife, I hung my entire body weight from it. I placed the blade in the crook of a strong piece of honeysuckle, then gripped the top of the blade with one hand and the top of the handle with the other. As you can see, this isn't really even a stretch for this knife. After doing this, there is zero blade play in any direction, and the lock is still just about as solid as they come. So you can see here, after all the abuse I've put this thing through, that blade does not move a bit. The handles aren't deformed, cracked, or splintered in any way. In fact, other than the coating being slightly worn, you could probably convince somebody that this thing was brand new. I'm very happy with the steel choice here. S35VN is a nice all-arounder while still featuring particle metallurgy. It has moderate edge retention, moderate toughness, and good corrosion resistance while still being fairly easy to sharpen. While even more premium steels such as M390, 20CV, MagnaCut, Crewwear, and the rest are flooding the market, S35VN still stands up. After abusing this folding knife with some batoning, the edge was still moderately sharp. I think the heat treatment could be a little bit better, as you'll see while I try to cut some phone book paper after the batoning. Now this isn't necessarily bad, of course I did abuse the knife by batoning it, but I think better edge retention can definitely be had with a better heat treatment on S35VN. For other material choices, the G10 for the handles is done very nicely. It doesn't really call all that much attention to itself. It's comfortable to hold, and as I've proven, it is very, very strong. My one real gripe on this knife is the pocket clip. I have a liking for deep carry pocket clips, but that's personal preference. What I can take objective offense to here is how tiny the pocket clip is. The knife is absolutely massive, and this clip looks like it belongs on a big pen. It's so tightly pressed against the scales, I can't get it to go in or out of any of my pockets without tearing the stitching up a little every single time. The thumb stud is essentially just a threaded rod. I'll try to show you guys that here in the studio. Hopefully you can see that. The thumb stud is basically just a threaded rod that you screw right into the blade, and it's got a flathead for adjustment, and I think that's really cool. I don't think I've ever seen that done before. And then it has a smooth piece for your thumb to go on. So you can adjust the thumb stud exactly to your liking to to get it to stick out more or go with a lower profile. The lock here is top notch, pun fully intended. It's extremely strong and fairly smooth after getting broken in. It can be a little bit sticky, but I think that's pretty much to be expected from a folding knife that you can use to split a log in a pinch. Cutting performance was a pretty strong point here. You have a 4-inch blade with a thickness of 0.14 inches and a very nice clip point. Durability is pretty good here, except for, like I said, on the heat treatment for the steel, but the knife is built like a tank and the materials are strong. I think you'd have difficulty doing any serious damage to this knife without subbing it in for a crowbar. The grip here is really good. There's plenty to hold on to and lots of different ways to position your hand. The smoothed out finger grooves make it very comfortable during prolonged use when you just use a standard grip. Deploying the knife I think could be a little easier. This is a very big knife, but if you have smaller hands, you might want to look for one of Cold Steel's smaller models because this thing is just absolutely huge with this 4-inch blade on a folding knife. I ordered this knife online, and even though I should have seen how big it was, I got blown away by just how large it is in person. I think this knife has plenty of flair. It's gigantic while still being moderately stealthy with the black G10 and the coated blade. At this price point, the fit and finish here is good to great. Everything fits together very nicely, and it shows very few imperfections after hard use. Like I said before, the triad lock is incredibly strong, perhaps the strongest in the entire industry. The DLC coating on the blade is pretty evenly distributed, and it held up pretty well throughout my testing. You can see we've got some mild scuffing there, but just about any knife with a coating that you use to baton wood or do similar things with is going to show scuffing in just about any type of coating. The G10 handle is nicely done and provides a good texture that's still very comfortable to hold on to without gloves. Sometimes I think G10 can be a little too aggressive if the patterning is over the top, but this one, you would be comfortable holding it with or without gloves. All the components of the Recon 1 come together and make this knife more than the sum of its parts. Durability is another strong point. With a nice chunk of S35VN, G10 handles, and the triad lock, this is a tool that will truly stand the test of time. Okay guys, so to get into the conclusion of this video, you all know I have a ton of nice knives in my collection. I'm spoiled for choice as far as what I want to carry on any given day. I didn't expect to like this Cold Steel as much as I do, but it keeps finding its way into my pocket. Without liners, it's a pretty comfortable carry for its size. The feeling of rigidity and versatility from the triad lock is basically unmatched from any of my other folders, including all my Benchmades. At the price I paid of $75 for this clip point version, it is an absolutely superb hard use knife. The pocket clip might suck, but it definitely won't stop me from adding some more of Cold Steel's folders to my collection here in the near future. Thanks for watching everybody. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and click the bell to make sure you get notified of future videos from me. Until next time, this has been Cutting Edge Action.